we are ready for our next presentation. Thank you so much, Anton. Our next speaker also has an impressive record of accomplishments. He has over a decade of experience with data science, AI, and machine learning. He has built 4 neobanking solutions as an engineer, tech lead, and architect. He has set up an R&D and innovation office in more than 2 organizations, and is truly passionate about architecture methodologies. He has prepared over 100 technical leaders to become architects. That's an amazing figure. And this amazing speaker has prepared a live demonstration of an AI-powered digital assistant that will showcase the prototype's capabilities and demonstrate how it can streamline and automate various banking processes. So I'm introducing Denis Doronin, the CTO at Yalantis, as our next star of the show. So please start.
Thank you, Victor. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second part of our today's event. I will continue the topic of AI today with my presentation about generative AI and virtual assistants in FinTech industry. And basically, we will start with some short generative AI space overview. We will walk through basic terminology, introduce some important notions. Then we will move to virtual AI assistants. How can we implement them? What is that technology? What are use cases applicable to FinTech? And after that, actually, we will take a look into how we have implemented that for our organization, make a short technology dive, explain technical details. And actually, after it, I will conduct a short live demo of our working solution. So let's get started. First, let's actually talk a little bit about generative AI space. So what does it mean, generative AI? Generative AI, it's a set of artificial intelligence systems that have unique capability to generate new content. So you can generate text, you can generate images, you can generate other forms of data. And such systems, they can simulate human-like creative processes. And that actually allows them to create original and diverse content. Basically, how can we apply generative AI? We can use generative AI for text generation, obviously. We can generate marketing materials, we can generate articles, we can generate documents, we can generate a wide range of textual data. We can do data augmentation. Since generative AI can generate almost any type of data, we can use it for our own internal purposes. So for example, if you have your own R&D center, or you have your data analytics and they are lacking some data for simulations or for building models, we can assist such process with generative AI. So essentially, we can use generative AI as a complementary model for your data science team. Last but not least, we can use generative AI for other types of content. So basically, we can generate images, we can generate audio, we can generate video. So we have multiple ways we can apply generative AI to different tasks. But let's take a look on what would be specific benefits for FinTech in terms of using generative AI. Actually, first, we can use generative AI for customer support automation. Actually, we can build a model that will handle routine tasks, speaking to customer, for example, answering queries, guiding them through some complex financial processes, and possibly offer some recommendations. Then, of course, generative AI can help with efficient content generation. As I said on the previous slide, we can use it for marketing materials, for advertising materials, or even for internal communications. So that can speed up the process of communication, the process of generating new content for your organization. Then we can use generative AI for personalized experiences. Based on user preferences, based on behavior, based on previous history of communication with you and your platform, generative AI can build a model, and actually we can build a model that would suggest proper services or proper products for your customers. Then generative AI can help with fraud detection, because basically generative AI and AI technology, they work well when we need to find some hidden patterns or anomalies in your data. Of course, that will help to speed up process of fraud detection. It can work in real time. We can provide actually detection mechanism that will block some fraudulent actions in your platforms. And then generative AI can help with regulatory and compliance. Since generative AI can generate new type of content, then of course we can generate policies, we can analyze compliance documents, and based on that analysis, generative AI can make summarization. We can apply your context of your organization at your knowledge base, and actually generate draft policies. Of course, we cannot use them as it is. We need to proofread them, but that will dramatically speed up the process of generating some documents for specific organizations. And of course, since generative AI has summarization capabilities, we can use it for data-driven insights. We all have a vast amount of data. We all know that processing data is a hard task. That's why generative AI can be helpful here, because it can summarize vast amount of data, it can build reports, it can help in building reports and building advanced analytics on your own data. So actually you can find new patterns, find new trends or relationships within your data. Looks good, but how exactly is generative AI applicable for fintechs? Let's take a look. So here we summarized 6 main use cases, in our opinion, that would be implemented using generative AI technology. First, virtual assistants, and that's the main topic of our second part. We will talk about virtual assistants a little bit later in our next slides, but generally speaking, virtual assistants provide you personalized financial advice. It can answer queries, assist customers in navigating complex financial processes. So it will act as 24/7 support for your business, right? So actually it can replace partially human interaction and actually answer typical and regular questions from your new customers or existing customers. Then generative AI can help in risk assessment. Since you can generate data, since you can summarize data, build reports, you can actually simulate different financial scenarios using generative AI. And that also speeds up the process of risk assessment. Other case where you can apply generative AI is investment planning. Actually, it works in a similar way to risk assessment. You can generate data for simulations, you can analyze different market conditions, you can build predictive models, so you can actually optimize different strategies that you have within your business. Based on that, based on actually first 2 use cases, risk assessment and investment planning, you can build more robust decision-making systems, because generative AI goes beyond traditional analytics. It extends your toolset. You can better identify patterns, you can better identify correlations, you can better find new trends within your data, and that of course gives you powerful tool to perform decisions for your business. Other use case related to generative AI is predicting market trends. Of course, it cannot predict the price of some financial asset for the next month or year, but it can summarize the data you have, it can build report, and that actually will help you to build other predictive models that actually will help to get additional knowledge for market trends. And as I said in the beginning of my topic, generative AI can help in automating financial documents creation, because you can set up a structure for your document, you can actually ask generative AI to process different documents within your knowledge base, make a summarization, put it as a paragraphs into your new document, or completely generate a structure for new document. And that will take just a couple of seconds instead of manually typing and writing document for hours, right? So that's another benefit. You can speed up the process of creation of new documents. Okay, the next topic would be virtual AI assistants. Now we have basic understanding of what is generative AI. We know benefits, we know some use cases. Let's talk about assistant technology. Virtual assistants are essentially applications that use artificial intelligence and natural language processing models to understand and respond to user queries or commands. Essentially, they act as a chatbot, or they act as 24/7 support for your business. And the goal is to simulate human interaction. So you can actually enhance user experience. You can do some basic commands. You can ask virtual assistant to provide you additional information from your knowledge base. And actually, virtual assistants can be found in different platforms. You can run them on mobile devices, you can run them in web, you can run them even on embedded devices, even on speakers, messaging applications, whatever. So we are not limited to some particular hosting options. We can do that on different devices. So how generative AI can help in virtual assistants? What would be the concrete cases or concrete focus areas for generative AI in this case? The first one, natural language understanding. Of course, generative AI can work for natural language understanding and processing. That basically includes recognizing intents. So we can understand what the intent of our user. Then based on that intent, we can launch some APIs, we can execute commands, we can extract information. So actually we can respond to that intent, right? That's how the majority of virtual assistants are working right now. So for example, Siri, for example, Alexa, they work pretty much similar to this concept. You have intent to ask something from that virtual assistant. Virtual assistant understands intent and is trying to respond to you with some useful information or do some useful action based on your intent. Then, of course, generative AI helps in contextual responses. So it takes into account your preferences, it takes into account particular history of communication, so it can better respond with proper information and content. Of course, generative AI can help with dialogue generation because based on contextual responses, it can combine different answers, it can summarize previous history, it can search through previous history. So that's why generative AI is really powerful tool to work with chatbots. Of course, we were talking about personalization on previous slides. And since generative AI can analyze your preferences, since it can use all of the history of previous communication and interaction with virtual assistant, it can give you better results based on your previous requests. Then virtual assistants now can perform basic task automation. So since we can analyze intent, since we can get intent out of our customer, we can actually generate API call to our backend. We can launch some commands, we can fetch information, we can perform some actions, and that makes virtual assistants based on generative AI super powerful. So essentially, we can now connect our internal APIs with our public interfaces, and that helps us to execute commands faster without even human interaction. And of course, generative AI can be used for continuous learning. That basically means that after you launched your virtual assistant, you can collect data out of your users, you can improve your virtual assistant, you can get better results based on interaction for previous users. Okay, what would be specific benefits for FinTech? Natural language understanding for financial jargon. So actually, when you have new customers or when you have existing customers that do not know every single financial term, sometimes support just spends time on explaining basic terms, explaining basic processes, and actually you can move the task out of humans to virtual assistants. So basically, person can interact with virtual assistant in a form of live chat or in a form of call and ask some basic questions, and virtual assistant will respond with information about your financial products, about investment strategies, about some regulatory and compliance stuff, and actually that will make sure that person fully understands your products and fully understands your ecosystem. Then, of course, virtual assistant can help in another case that we discussed on the previous slides, fraud detection assistance. Since virtual assistant will have access to user history, we can analyze history, we can analyze preferences, we can actually detect some anomalies in user behavior, and that, of course, will help us to protect user and protect user account from any suspicious actions. Another case where we can apply virtual assistants in FinTech, of course, is customer education. It's related to the first one, but in this case, we can build assistant that actually will educate our users about how can we use some particular feature of our product or ecosystem, or where can we find any useful information regarding some financial product or financial process. What about security? That's the most common question we've got from our customers. We can share data outside organization. What can we do? So in this case, you have three main models. First, you need to understand whether you are working with public data or private data. If you are working with public data, it's publicly available on your website, or for example, you would like to build virtual assistant based on your FAQ session, then you can use existing models like ChatGPT from OpenAI and other powerful models. In this case, you are not sharing any sensitive data or any private data, so you can use this technology to help you in your virtual assistants. If that's not the case for you, if you have sensitive data, or if you, for example, would like to analyze user preferences, in this case, definitely you will need to have private solution. And for private solution, I mean for solution where you host model within your infrastructure, within your secure perimeter, you have two main options. The first one is to use AI model as a service. Right now, multiple cloud providers, they provide you option to provision some specific model inside your infrastructure, and that basically means that data never leaves your organization. In this case, of course, you may observe some limitations. So before going with managed model, first you need to analyze what are the capabilities of that model, whether it has any limitations, whether it covers all of your use cases that you would like to build for your virtual assistant. If it fits all of your use cases, you can go with such an option. And in case if you really need custom development, in case when you cannot find ready to use model for your cases, then you can build custom model, or you can, for example, take a model from public open source repositories, such as Hugging Face, for example, extend model, fine-tune model, and after that, deploy it privately inside your infrastructure. So in this case, of course, you will need more time for development, but that will actually implement all of your use cases. Okay, let's take a look into implementation. So we will start with process flow for our own internal HR chatbot that we built for Yalantis. So diagram is really simple. All starts with user intent. For example, user is searching for particular information or would like to ask some clarification questions, or for example, is using virtual assistant as a help center. So basically, we are collecting some intent from our user. In our case, we did it in the form of live chat. So in the middle, you can see chat system, where actually that part of our solution accepts user request in the form of live chat. It processes request and prepare it for AI model execution and actually triggers our AI model component. On the right side, you have AI model that actually performs three main actions. It searches for an answer through our internal knowledge base. Then it makes executive summary using large language model. And of course, it provides relative links to our internal documentation. In terms of architecture itself, we have three main layers of our solution. We have access layer, where we host our front-end part. We have backend layer, where we have different components related to our chat system and AI model. And of course, we have database. So it seems to be like a traditional layered architecture, but with some fine-tunings. So specifically for this showcase, we selected open source decentralized messenger called Synapse, and we integrated with it. So basically, we implemented our AI model and integrated into that open source server. Essentially, we have front end that we took from open source. We have messaging server that also is a ready component. So we actually focused on model development and actually chatbot logic development. In terms of technology choice, for our AI part, we selected Haystack. It's a popular large language model framework that helps to build production-ready applications. This framework allows us to use different models. It can use OpenAI models, it can use Cohere models, it can use open source models. So any pre-trained model can be used with this framework. As for other technology choices, so front-end part is traditional choice React.js, backend is on Python, and we selected Amazon as cloud provider. Just to point that chatbot can be launched on any platform. I mean that it can be ported to Azure, it can be ported to Google, we can launch it on premises, so we are not limited to some particular hosting. Okay, so now we can switch to a short demo. I will show how chatbot works for our organization. So first I will sign in into our chat system. Then I have to select a room where our assistant can help us with some particular questions. Let's ask some basic. So for example, I'm a newcomer. I would like to know how can I request a day off? So that's a really typical question for any type of organization. So let's ask our chatbot and take a look how it will respond. Okay, so as you can see, our chatbot provides comprehensive information about how can we request day off. So it actually searches through our internal knowledge base. It makes summarization, so it actually displays the actual information about how can we request day off, provides link to our internal system where we can do that. And actually, if we need more information, it provides us a link to a full detailed information about how can we request day off. But what if we have other questions? What if we have a situation, let's call it edge case. So for example, let's ask another question. I don't have any available days off, but I still would like to request another one. What can I do? So that's not a typical question for our HR bot, right? So in this case, we need to answer that you need to contact your manager. If you don't know your manager, sometimes it happens, right? You can find that information in our internal system, and chatbot provides link. So that's a very important step. If AI assistant cannot find answer within knowledge base, we should respond with proper answer to our user. Because many generative AI technologies, they have one significant drawback. When you are asking question and they cannot find information through knowledge base, they start generating content because they are generative models, right? So they can think something about your request and answer just a generic answer to you. That's a bad thing with virtual assistants. That's why we trained our assistant in a way that once cannot find the most appropriate answer, it responds in a way that you need to contact your manager and ask that question directly to that person. Okay, let's get back to our presentation and let's summarize what we have discussed today. So, generative AI, it allows us to generate different types of content. It allows us to process big amounts of data. It can summarize data. It can perform summarization tasks and many other tasks. It can be used for conversational human interactions. Virtual assistants, another way, use different AI models and use different natural language processing models. You can run virtual assistants on different platforms, web platforms, mobile platforms, even embedded platforms. You can use virtual assistant for dialogue generation, for personalization, for contextual responses, and so on. And actually, you train your virtual assistant using your knowledge base. And actually, you tune then virtual assistant to perform some specific tasks for advanced automation. As a technical solution, first step, you will need to find and refine all applicable use cases for virtual assistant. Then, of course, you need to understand security and privacy concerns using those three simple models. If data is public, you can use third-party models. If data is private or sensitive or uses private or sensitive data from your users, then you should go with managed model concept or with privately hosted custom model. The next step, of course, would be to select proper technology and proper models. After that, you will need to implement solution and actually integrate with your existing system. And last but not least, after you launched your virtual assistant into production, you will need to monitor and enhance solution. So actually, your journey starts when you launched your virtual assistant, not when you implemented it and you are ready to deploy. So you need to collect additional information, and based on real user feedbacks, you can enhance your virtual assistant. So, of course, it will take some time, but typically generative AI models are working really well out of the box. You just need to fine-tune them. All right, so basically that's it for me for today. I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I enjoyed the live demo mostly. And the questions are going to be mostly about the solution you've presented. The first question is about the customization level. How customizable can such a virtual assistant be, specifically to the internal processes of I guess, any company? Can it be used across domains, or is it used specifically for banks? Is it used specifically for a single industry and for specifically training purposes, or can it perform any other functions?
Thank you. That is a great question. Actually, generative AI can be used in different domains, in various domains. So the beauty of generative AI is that you can take or select one model and you can fine-tune that model for different cases. So it works like a layered model or like a plugin model. So in the core, you have your large language model, and you need to fine-tune them based on your content. So simple answer will be, we need to take your data, we need to take your knowledge base, and we need to provide additional context to the model. So yes, it's domain agnostic, and it's actually task agnostic, I will say in that way.
That's great. Thank you. And talking about the integration possibilities of such a solution, how well does it integrate with ERPs, CRMs, the systems that are normally used in companies? Is it a complex process to integrate such a solution, and what will it require?
Okay, that's a good question. So actually, the systems that we are building, they work as a plugin model. So essentially, we decoupled AI model out of chat system. That's why we can integrate it with any other system. The complexity of integration, of course, depends on how many systems you would like to include into virtual assistant. And that's not a quite complex process, but it requires some discovery and, of course, implementation. But in terms of complexity, again, we can write, for example, some simple proxies or some simple middleware that will interconnect our AI model, generative AI model with your existing landscape, with your existing systems.
Oh, so you're saying that it can actually be connected to multiple systems at once, and it can serve for different tools, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Well, in that case, I have a question about the performance and I guess the speed of answers. Will that increase or decrease in case it is connected to multiple systems? And the overall performance question, I mean, in the presentation you've demonstrated, it gave answers quite quickly. Will it work later on as there will be more data to process, more answers to give? How does it perform in general? I guess that's the main question.
I will say that AI models, they are quite consuming. So I will not say that you can get super cheap AI model hosted in your organization, but that's not thousands of dollars. We are talking right now about hundreds of dollars per month to host AI model. And that, of course, depends on the scale. So if you have a system that will work for 100 users, that will be a completely different system for a solution where you have thousands of users. So it all depends on first amount of users, second amount of integrations, third your own limitations on infrastructure. So actually we can guarantee good performance, like second, sub-second, or couple of seconds to respond for some requests. But if you have budget limitations, we can build solutions that actually will meet your expectations on infrastructure cost, but still provide good performance. So it's a question of scalability. It's a question of cost efficiency. But yeah, it's all doable.
Thank you. I guess the last question I have is about the functionality. Just like you've mentioned, it can be applied to different levels of systems and to a different level of complexity. So do you mean to say that there will be more functions that you can add to this particular chatbot, and it can actually perform more operations?
Yes, of course. It can be extended, and it should be extended. So the simplest way that virtual assistants are working right now is that they are searching through your internal knowledge base. But that's not only use case. generative AI models, they can actually talk to your APIs, they can fetch information out of your backend, they can be integrated with, as I said, multiple systems. That's why we need to understand intents of your users. So for example, if they would like to request a day off, if they would like to get a balance, if they would like to know how to perform some particular action within your system, generative AI can trigger other APIs, and that's how automation works. So essentially, we can build virtual assistant that will trigger different functions from different systems. And that's why we have such powerful mechanism. Actually, in case of custom integration, you will need to write each action precisely to understand what should you do in each particular case. With generative AI, it can do it by its own. It's almost a magic.
Oh yeah, that does sound like magic. Thank you so much. I'm out of questions here. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was a great session, and not only we got to dive deeper into the AI trends and the levels of their adoption, we can actually see that AI is no longer a luxury that can be afforded by huge companies with amazing budgets, with years of being in practice, right? It's actually something that is already getting close to almost every stage of the banking industry or the fintech industry, and not only the financial businesses as well. And I was amazed by the fact that you can just pay hundreds of dollars to get a full virtual assistant, like a real virtual employee working for your company, automating processes, driving informational and educational changes, providing information, triggering actions. That's something amazing. And I love how it can actually already be applied in the banking sphere. So the only thing we are aware of now and considering and thinking about is the regulatory compliance. Hope that regulators will soon be more educated of the possibilities and make it a more seamless process to integrate. And I'm sure that we haven't covered all of the questions that our listeners had, but I'm sure that we can answer these questions later on. And if you are the one watching this video and thinking about a question, feel free to reach out to us on our LinkedIn channel. Just type in Yalantis and you'll find us. Feel free to reach out to us via our email. That can be hello@yalantis.com. Feel free to visit our website and go to our contact section, where you can just find our number and you can find our contact form in case you are thinking about a project. We'll be happy to provide you with more details. And feel free to reach out to Dan and Anton, who was previously presenting as well. We'll be happy to answer all of your questions. Thank you so much for your attention today, and hope you had a great time. Feel free to get back to us with any questions you may have. Have fun. Well, let's stop. Что там, Лиза, ты нас помодерируешь чуть-чуть?